Hello, 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 everyone. As you guys are joining in, you guys already know what to do. Let us know if you're hearing us perfectly before we even start. For any one of you joining us on YouTube, for those of you joining us on Instagram, actually, come on, meet us on YouTube. The link is in our bios, the link is in our stories. Come on and chat with us because we will not be able to see your chats or your comments on Instagram. Let me just remove this. So good night, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for everyone coming in right now. Welcome to another episode on Success with the Stars, brought to you by the Growth Project Podcast. As you guys know, my name is Cherie Spears. I'm always your host. So today we have a very, very interesting conversation. I'm bringing on our faves, Umi Genevieve and Lotus Elise, to talk to us about what the hell has been going on with the transits lately. I know you guys have been feeling it. February has been that type of month. It's just been that type of month. Valentine's was not Valentine'sing. There's just a lot that's going on in terms of relationships, friendships, all to do. So today they're going to help us break down what exactly is going on in the cosmos, what the relationship activity that's going on, and we have a special announcement at the end. So stay towards the end to make sure that you hear that announcement. So I'm going to bring up my girls, Lotus Elise and Umi Genevieve, and join me in giving them a round of applause. Hello.
Oh, hey everybody.
Good night, good night. So we got Nikea in the building. Sincerely, shout out to y'all. Everyone watching us on Instagram, please come on over. Just look for Cherie Spears on Instagram and y'all will find us. So ladies, how y'all doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Just having a good day so far.
Always grateful to be here. Always grateful to be on the growth project, showcasing Astro as you know it. Astro. So always grateful.
Okay, let's get started. I'm just seeing our face. This is cute. This is cute. I love this. We're just letting everybody kind of come in, do their thing. I see Instagram's going crazy. Come join us on YouTube, y'all. Come join us on YouTube. I see Umi's Instagram. Everyone's like, yay! But come over, come over. Before we came on, we were just chatting before we came on about I don't know if you guys saw that TikTok the whole TikTok dilemma that's happening right now. What's the girl's name, Lotus? Like, who the fuck did I marry? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, her name is Risa Tisa.
If you guys are following the story on TikTok of who the fuck did I marry, can y'all like comment down below and let me know what y'all think about that? Because we were just we started just discussing this literally 5 minutes before we came on, and Lotus and Umi were just like trying to pull up their charts and see what's going on. Okay, someone says, yeah, what the hell is that about? At least you have more on the tea because I literally just looked at 2 videos because that shit is long. Instagram is saying yeah, it's crazy as well. But give us a little rundown, like what's going on.
So a little rundown is this woman met this man on Facebook dating app, and it was right before the lockdowns, and she really ignored a lot of red flags because she was very much so in this like pick me, it's my time type energy. And I think like that is something that a lot of people can relate to, like men and women, well maybe more so women, but like this like it's my turn, like I get to be a wife now, and things like moved super quickly. And she moved him into her house. They started like house shopping. He bought her a fake ring off Amazon, and then I skipped around. I have to confess I did not watch it like start to finish, all 50 episodes. But at some point, the story started to unravel. She started to poke holes in the story. She started to put her, thinking cap on and did some investigative work and was following through to see the validity of some of his stories. And just like the magnitude of storytelling and lie maintaining that this man did was astonishing. Like every morning he would call his brother, but there would be no one on the other line. He was literally just talking to himself. And like today when I was on TikTok, I saw videos where this woman was like, it's like point of view after you watch the Risa Tisa, who the fuck did I marry? She's like, put it on speakerphone. Put it on speakerphone. Who are you talking to? I was wondering what she did in a past life to get him.
Someone said she needed a Netflix, and I'm like, yes, I think she needs a Netflix series, definitely. Back in those days, they used to do like those Lifetime specials, like on Lifetime. She needs one of. She's
a great storyteller, and this thing is a recent story that started like in 2021, and now we're in 2024. And baby girl getting paid at least 6 figures off of TikTok alone because off the streams, off the views. She's got like 10 million views across like all her videos.
Someone said on Instagram, I just want the birth info. Lol. We were doing a little digging before we came on here.
I mean, so, I think they're both in the same year. So
tell the people what you found.
So I figured out his birthday is June 17th, 78, and I'm pretty sure she's also 78, and she's February 15th.
But the placements.
Oh, so he is a Gemini Sun, Scorpio Moon. Let's see what hers is. I didn't look up her chart yet.
I think you too, Umi, you looked up her chart. What can you tell already from that chart?
Just already with her being Aquarius. I know you said that earlier with her being Aquarius Sun. Aquarius are feeling that way right now with feeling the light is on them. They want to dive into their deepest inner expression. They want to do things that can even seem ridiculous, outrageous, creative right now in their life. Like even with the Aquarius in the news right now, just hilarious. Kelly Rowland, just the over Aquarius is centered. Megan Thee Stallion, and even just more Aquarius energy if I forget to name some. So right now she probably felt like it was time to walk down that aisle, baby.
Yeah. So she is an Aquarius Sun, Gemini Moon. Damn, girl. And she got Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. That sucks.
That's the thing about Aquarius and Scorpio placements. They can capitalize off their pain. Like so
for sure.
I'm just looking at the comments. It's funny. It's so funny on Instagram. Instagram, come over, find us on TikTok so we can laugh together. Someone said, of course he's a Gemini. For real, the elaborate planning he did and the way that he like word vomited and just loved bomb her. Yeah.
And the Scorpio moon makes sense because he really played the long game. Like he maintained that character for a long ass time. So then she ends up connecting with the ex-wife, and the ex-wife puts her on game. She confirms all these stories. Then she finds out he's a twin, right? Gemini, he's a fucking twin. She talks to the twin, and the twin's like, our parents been dead since 2015. Like he's not talking to our mother. Like all type of just like wild ass things.
And the HIV part, don't forget
and then the HIV part, he's just revealed that he has HIV, and that's why he's lost so much weight. And if you see him on TikTok telling his side of the story, he looks like he has like psoriasis, like all over his face and like ingrown, you know, like how psoriasis like plaque patches and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
He looks terrible.
Someone said, I have an Aquarius friend that almost got by a homosexual. That's funny.
It happens like a lot more than you would think, unfortunately.
Okay. But yeah, it's crazy to me how quick she just blew up with that story, and like those 10 or I don't know how much but 10-minute video, like 50 of them, it's a lot. But it's crazy that people are following along. Like all of the videos have like millions of views or like hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, and then with TikTok, you get paid like if people stay longer. And everyone's been watching that shit like top to bottom.
Yep. Crazy. This is the times that we're in. Aquarius energy, so most def.
Just banging on that. It makes me think of, you know, that story a few years ago on Twitter where she went on like this road trip with her stripper friend, and they made a whole movie about it. I don't know if it was a movie on a Twitter feed, and it was during the Saturn Aquarius. So I even think they
pandemic?
The pandemic time. So it was about this
the girl who got killed by her boyfriend on their road trip.
She goes on a road trip with one of her like with a stripper
friend.
They go through a crazy like journey, and then she makes a Twitter thread about the whole story, and then they made it a movie. So I was like, it could have similarities since it's an Aquarius transit, because I'm pretty sure they made a movie around Aquarius. Yeah, it's called Zola. There we go. Yeah, it's called Zola, and it was based on her Twitter feed, and then they made it a movie.
Yeah, so I just checked her chart on Astro, and they have Juno at 15 degrees of Capricorn. So they got married while Pluto was like transiting their freaking Juno.
And like with Capricorn, got to go back into the past, baby. We got to make sure we know what that history is about. Or the skeletons, literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
All right, so let's I do agree. Someone's like she's gonna get a 2B, at least a 2B special. And I think so. At least they're gonna, somebody on 2B is writing this right now. They're calling her right now.
Well, she definitely made a lot of money.
For sure. I'm sure we're gonna see that. I'm sure we're gonna see something like that. So we were talking also earlier about Valentine's Day and just how this Valentine's was a little bit different. It just kind of didn't hit. Let us know down below, how was your Valentine's Day? How did it go for you? But yeah, it was very different, like just energetic wise, cosmo wise. Last week I did a video with Boro, and he was saying, like, the girlies weren't posting their guys the same way. They weren't posting the big flowers and the room and the hotel room. Like, what happened? Where were the Instagram girlies with the big bouquet of flowers and stuff like that? We weren't seeing that this year. So, tell us a little bit about what's going on right now in the transits, what's going on in the cosmos. Even just last week with the astrology of Valentine's Day, just helping us understand why this year could have been a little bit different. And also with you, at least. I'll start with Umi because I see you fixing something. Go ahead.
Thanks.
So with the Venus, with the Aquarius, Piscean energy, what comes to like thought, even just right now, is we're in a philanthropy, whole minimalist, healing time, right? So I feel like another part of it is that people don't want to come off elitist online. They don't want to come off better than thou. And I think even though these spaces, even if people did have great and luxurious, they don't want to post it because we're in a time right now where it's about political climate, who's the most humblest, material things don't matter. And it just would look like, even the celebrities right now, when they post, people will get in the comments and be like, don't you see there's a war going on and you're posting jeweler, people are dying. So that kind of basis there. So I feel like that's another thing, that we're in this hippie, spiritual space. So people are probably camouflaging this and not wanting to promote this as much. Also within Aries energy. So Aries North Node, Libra South Node. So that's also opening up, just where there's a lot more wanting to find more autonomy, independence. And even with the sessions I've been having with Aries and Libra placements, they want to do a lot of solo trips this year, like just do ventures by themselves. And that could be a theme in this climate, where even if people are in relationships, they want to find more of that equality. What you can do, I can do. My own autonomy, my own direction. Even though I'm in a relationship, I don't want to lose myself, even though I'm with you. So I feel like that was a big center. And also that people don't want to come off like they're stunting on other people. Right now, that's like not really like the wave in a way. It's more like this minimalist, or less is more, or the common man. And that could be it as well. That some people are just like, let me not post, like, for the haters, I don't want the people to see, or let me not come off that way as well.
I think also, like, sort of like celebrity culture, influencer culture is changing, and it's kind of like dying and transforming now. And like, people don't want to see that staged fake ass bullshit, like people just don't want to see that.
I think those are really good points. And super valid. And yes, I have been seeing the online activists like under everyone's post. Like, someone will just put a random thing and they'll be like, ha ha ha, that's so funny though, but remember Palestine. So people are actually really doing that. So yeah, that is a really good point. Let's talk about the current transits right now too as well. We have this week started off, like this whole entire week I feel like has been a little bit tender. We've had Moon opposite Pluto today. We had a Chiron conjunction in Aries, Mars and Venus conjunction, and all of this, like this month there was just so much happening in the cosmos, like so much conjunctions to Pluto, so much conjunctions within itself. Next week we're having a whole Sun, Mercury, Saturn. Like, it's a big month, and I feel like it's also a little bit heavy energy. How can you guys kind of like translate that for the people, if you can, the current transits we have?
I think the current transits are really focused on liberation, and the people who are choosing to extend their sentence, so to speak, are really feeling the pressure of maybe the negative outcomes of their choices. You know, all of the planets during Aquarius season had to pass over Pluto. And Pluto is a very intense planet. It's a planet about like purification, death, rebirth, those types of themes. And then it's going into the sign of Aquarius, which is really like rebellious and liberation and really being authentically yourself. You know, that whole axis of Leo and Aquarius is about authenticity and the ego and the self and moving towards the future. And I feel like that's really been the theme. And that's also why Valentine's Day wasn't as, you know, fun as it was even last year, because last year we had Venus with Neptune in Pisces. And so it was very like warm and cozy and marshmallowy and sexy and all of the things. And this year we had Mars with Pluto. It's just like, go fuck yourself energy.
Umi?
Even to carry, even to just carry on with that. Pluto left Capricorn. So we've left a whole cycle of what the nuclear family looks like, what a lot of laws, what a lot of like the culture climate, the political climate since 2008. So we've wrapped that up. Even financially, we could see similarities, presidency, things that can come off first again, a new beginning. Like right now, we got some female, like some, especially in the States, women who are wanting to come into presidency, like running, like more than one, like coming into like, even starting last year, governor, like higher ranking spaces. So same thing in 2008. What's coming first? What was new to the collective? We're walking into that now when it comes with everything, laws, the nuclear family, food. That's another thing that with these transits, we have Jupiter in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus, Pluto in Aquarius. So the food industry is important right now as well. Right now, that's big content on TikTok, like people who like cook or who give out like in a philanthropist way.
Homesteading.
Yeah. That basis farming, all that basis, those themes. So that's a center as well, where we have to look at what they're about to do with the food industries. So those bases there's something within that. Because once it started in 2018, 19 with the plant-based, yes, but also chemically, like foods that are in labs, that's going to become more of a thing. Like built in a machine, more of a thing, like the air fryer, all of that is going to get more and more and more where food is quick, faster. It's just their good burger. Vibe. So that's what I see with this transit, because like even with doing sessions, the fixed dominance, Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, they're really working with nutrition. Working with cooking for themselves, working to stay away from like anything that seems like it's too processed. So that's an important transit that I see right now with the food. It could be something that's even being hidden right now, where they're not even talking about it on purpose. And there's going to be a lot of layouts. Like since Jupiter's coming into Gemini, maybe a lot of rollouts of new prospects for the food industry, farming and that kind of basis.
Yeah, well, they're also growing mussels essentially in labs, and they are growing them with not healthy cells, because what cells do you know that replicate themselves the fastest? What cells replicate themselves the fastest? Cancer cells.
Cancer. I was going to say white blood cells.
So that is sort of the basis of this meat that is real meat that is grown without the torture of animals, but it's grown with cancer cells. We have no idea how that's going to affect people who are going to choose to eat this type of food. And also, since this is America, guess who's in bed with the regulatory body, and guess how they're going to package that meat? Guess how they're going to label that meat? You know, are they going to actually have to disclose that that's what this meat is? That's what this meat product is.
So over here, I'm in Canada, and they've already said that they won't have to disclose. They won't have to. It's just gonna be packaged, and it's not gonna say anything too crazy. You kind of, like how sometimes we see, we have like those orange juices, and it's like made from natural products, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean there's an actual orange there, right? It's just, how they mess with the wording so that we can. They've already said that we won't. They're not coming out and putting any label on it saying that this is not homegrown.
We don't even have like a coding system. Like if you look at your fruits and vegetables, like if it starts with a 3, it's GMO. If it starts with a 4, it's just not organic. If it starts with a 9, it has to meet USDA guidelines. There's not even a regulation system like this for this type of meat.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
So, I don't know. I've been vegetarian since 2016. So it's like I just couldn't imagine being a meat eater in this environment right now. It's terrifying.
I've been doing my all fruit diet, but I won't lie, I'm Caribbean. I love my meat. Like I just need to figure out how to just have a farm at this point, or be best friends with someone I can trust who has a farm, because yes.
Facts.
It's becoming a very hard time. They said that the US won't disclose as well. Yeah.
They've already planned about that.
Someone said, yeah, you'll see things written like minimally processed, etc. Yeah, like that's what I mean when I'm like, they're just gonna play with words to say like, we said it, but we didn't really say it. How is your Valentine's Day, ladies? Talk to me about your Valentine's Day with like all like in regards to like your own chart, the transits, and how you kind of translate that. I'm curious.
Well, I have a stellium in my 5th house right now, so you would think that Valentine's Day would be like super fun and sexy, but it was not. Not at all. I treated myself though, because this is something I've been doing for like a while, especially while I have been while I'm single. Like I like to take myself out on solo dates, and I like to treat myself to things that I like buying flowers for myself and taking myself out to dinner and whatnot, because like I don't think that you have to wait around for a partner in order to enjoy those types of things, because like what if I'm waiting around for a long time? Like that sucks for me then, right? So I did treat myself to all of the lovely things that any good Taurus would like for Valentine's Day. Flowers, perfume, lingerie, food, all of the things.
What about you, Umi?
Same. I feel like that's the Leo vibes that we share. So really big on gifting myself. So I, especially since I knew I was going to do this live and drop everything. I was like, I only got my hair done. Remember, I was making some funky braids for a minute. I got my hair done, got my nails done, did my own thing. And then we went and seen One Love. So me and my boyfriend went to go see One Love by Bob Marley. But it was a cool vibe. You know, I'm with the kids. So we got to snatch time. We got to like crave, like literally fight for time. So, you know, and I just moved. So not the most help or the most date nights. So we did some laid back, chill. We really Aquarius. We just went to go see an Aquarius.
Love it.
How was the movie?
It was cool. It was cool. Personally, it's Rita's story. Just personally. It's Rita's story, Rita's experience. If you want a story, we're gonna need another movie.
I think they already did a movie. There's already a movie. We already did a movie with him, if I'm not mistaken. But very interesting.
Was there like unreleased music or anything in the movie? Like any kind of Yeah,
it's like a musical. I looked at it that way because songs come up, it makes you want to sing and dance. But it's Rita's experience, because and I don't want to like spoil it for anyone, but like Bob had a lot of kids. Bob had a lot going on. So if you want to know Bob's story, that's not really in the movie. It's Rita's experience. and her love. So I had to read, like, soon after I watched the movie, I Googled her natal chart. She's a Leo. So I was like, you already know she about to look messy on no big screen. You crazy?
Right. You got to have some kind of creative control.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And even in her chart, I was talking about 28 degrees a couple days ago, and she has the 28th degree in her chart. So in a way, I was like, the fortune that Bob created was all the things that she endured for him, and that's why she's in full control of it. Like Bob has a 17 degree Aquarius sun, so he took in the fame. His name will forever be like, he can, like, you could put him on cups, blunts, anything, he's gonna sell off with, right? So, but Rita has the money, the fortune, the background. She's the
benefits off the household name.
And she even took some of his kids, and Ray, like, would pick, like, just, I guess, to monitor everything that's going on. Yeah. So it's very much Rita's as well, especially through the movie. You see that, like, this dream.
And it's interesting that we're talking about this because as we go into more and more into the Aquarian age, and we've been talking about that, we see a rise of unconventional relationships or love being done in a different way. So talk to me more about what the transits have to say when it comes to all of the relationship activity we have, but especially when it comes to the rise of unconventional relationships. Is that the future of relationships? Is it just a fad? Is it here to stay, or is it just something we're exploring right now? Like, is the pendulum just swinging? We're just exploring this right now. Is there anything that points to that?
I mean, I would definitely say there's a lot of exploration right now, especially with Venus being in Aquarius, and then we have Juno and Virgo, which is opposing Saturn. So I feel like there's like, how do we revive this? How do we give this like some new life? How do we bring this into the future? How do we make this work for us in a better way? How do we, maybe even like reinventing what your love language is, or things like this, and the types of things that you need and require in relationships. I feel like at the same time, though, since we have the South Node in Libra, that people really are stuck on their own sort of destructive behaviors in relationships. And, even though they want to have relationships, they're still, it's hard to let go of the past, especially with that South Node in Libra.
Earlier when we were on, before we got on the video, when I was talking about the generations and how it's important for like the Pluto and Libra, Pluto and Virgo generation to really you really center where it's like what's real, what's the visual, and what's real. So with this, like the 60s, the 70s, as we moved into like early 70s, mid 70s, the divorces, women can now find more of their autonomy outside of their marriage. Just more of the single parent home opened up around this, like, this Pluto and Libra, Uranus and Scorpio. So with Pluto leaving Capricorn, so that's square towards the end, and how that generation really needs to shift. Like, what is the family? What is the family ideal? And also, since Pluto and Scorpio was born during the transition of the family, why Pluto and Aquarius opens up more of that question, because that generation is being aspected closely. So it was during the 80s, 90s that a lot of kids were like, yeah, I don't live with my dad, or I don't live with my mom. Like, it's not necessary. So we're in another part of a transit that wants to center more of that conversation. See how maybe we could take a different approach to not having necessarily be married, not having to necessarily have children, not necessarily to be like where a man is the breadwinner or the woman's the breadwinner. Whatever started during this Pluto and Scorpio, so around the 70s, around the 80s, late 70s, 80s, and how the family changed, and why this transit is now opening up more of that conversation as well. Also with you talking about the South Node in Libra, and just that basis of where I was talking before with the solo trips, A lot of this generation, the 60s, 70s, a lot of them can finally be stepping out of fear mindsets where it's like, I don't have to do what my parents did. When we were speaking before, like a lot of the younger generation, especially the Pluto and Sagittarius, Pluto and Capricorn, could be telling their parents like, hey guys, y'all don't have to stay together. Nothing's going to go wrong with us. We're not going to lose our mind. Just figure yourselves out. We're okay. So that's just a big shift with these trends, especially for this generation, Pluto and Virgo, Pluto and Libra, and how they're, even with that generation, why the 70s and 80s was such a big change in their own lives when they were growing up, and why relationships was shifting. A lot changed. Segregation laws, a lot changed when with the Uranus and Scorpio generation, Pluto and Libra generation. And right now, this is their time to redefine what the family looks like, what the family can be. And that's really what this wants to open up. Something more open-minded, something that has much stipulations, something freeing, like you said, the liberation.
And I guess too, that's why we're seeing this huge rise of like love gurus and love, feminine coach and traditional, and what men and women should do in this gender wars, especially with the nodes again just being in Mars and Venus sign, and again just being women and men. I do always feel like it's darkest before dawn, and shit always comes up before change. And the fact that we're even reverting to like we should have never fought, or feminism didn't do anything. I feel like we are on the brink of just like this has to come up for us to clear some shit before we actually go forward. I'm just interested in what going forward actually looks like. Into the non-conformist relationships as well. Like something I'm seeing that I find is cool, and y'all let me know what you think, but like I'm seeing best friends having kids together. So instead of having like a relationship, it's like we're besties and we have a kid together, and it's kind of like I'm not sure the mentality behind it. I think it's just this way of like sometimes romantic relationships and how we feel about each other can kind of like not ruin our kids, but if we divorce, whatever, but we could kind of like stay friendly for a really long time. Or like another one that I'm seeing is like gay couples. So like, for example, a lesbian couple and a male gay couple, they'll have kids between them. So there's a lot of different ways that families are coming together right now. And I find it very interesting. Lotus, I think you wanted to say something.
Well, before just to piggyback off the Pluto and Virgo generation and then the Pluto and Leo generation, Pluto and Leo generation would be like our grandparents. And they have very fixed ideas about what relationships and marriage was or should be, right? And they were the generation that stayed together even when they hated each other. And then those are the people that raised our parents. And then our parents were Pluto and Virgo. And so I feel like a lot of that came with emotional deregulation or unregulation, right? Because Virgo, I feel like they stored a lot of these things like in the body and didn't really advocate for themselves in the way that they should. And then also a lot of our parents in that Pluto Virgo generation are married to their job. So they would avoid their partner and just work late nights or do whatever, right? And then, then it moves into Pluto and Libra. And Pluto and Libra is like, fuck that. We don't got to stay together. Like, we can just get divorced. Like, what the hell? And then they kind of started this whole thing where it's like, okay, relationships don't have to be marriage. We don't have to stay together forever, that kind of a thing. And then Pluto and Scorpio comes along and we're like, well, we want like emotional depth and we want real soul level connection. And we really want to be like what the Disney fantasy version of love is. And then that's sort of like what we were talking about before we came on the live is like this country romanticizes and idealizes love and relationships and happily ever after so much, but yet we lack a working definition of what love really is. And we really force feed everyone like trauma and violence and chaos, but God forbid they show some titties, or God forbid they show loving, supportive relationships on TV. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like there's such a disconnect where it's just like, I don't know, do you guys just want us to be driven by our root chakra and carnal pleasures, or do you guys really want us to feed our souls?
Absolutely.
One
No,
more
go ahead.
write that shit. I'm about to write that shit because it's so potent. When I do sessions, there's a lot of alcoholism, drug addiction in that Pluto and Virgo generation, early Pluto and Libra generation. And that's another thing too, where a lot of the substance abuse, like even in movies, the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, that's when cocaine was rolling, heroin rolling, like crack, like those are bases, they're rolling. So there's even the because this is even the same type of energy with Saturn being in Piscean mental health, but there's a part of that generation with escapism. And why after Leo, a lot of people realized that they would have to stay drunk to stay in their marriage, be in some sort of have vices to stay in certain relationships. Because to even come into Pluto and Scorpio, that means women or men had to go to the ruling courts and really prove domestic abuse, violence, trauma to get certain type of rights. Because Pluto and Scorpio generation is like, all right, we're gonna be in a marriage, but I watch my paycheck, you watch your paycheck. You better, I'm gonna work, you gonna work. And that's a big thing too, with just even this conversation of traditional, because around that generation, it was time for everyone to have equal rights. Even with Saturn and Aquarius generation, early 90s, a lot more rights. Early 90s, that basis there. So it's just Aquarius opens up, how does everyone get a piece of the pie? Without someone feeling slighted, alienated. And that generation is going to have to set the tone. Well, they are.
Yeah, and then that generation also right now we have Juno transiting Virgo. So a lot of our parents are like, are we staying together still? Because like the kids aren't here anymore. And like we can really do what we want. And like if we get divorced, like our kids don't even live in this damn house. So who cares if we get divorced? You know what I mean? So it's just like, I think now a lot of our parents are approaching retirement age. And now that they are really left to be alone and not working, now there's no work that they can escape to. And there's no kids that is like their Band-Aid. It's like, are we really a working relationship still? Do we really love each other? Or have we just created, is this like a business partnership essentially?
Someone brought up too that this is opposing the Pluto and Leo generation as well. How do we see this axis like play out with Pluto and Aquarius? How do you guys think it will be different or opposing the Pluto and Leo?
I think that the Pluto and Leo generation are really the soul suckers of youth. I think that with Pluto and Aquarius, we're going to have to just cut off their supply. I really think that there is going to be just like radical change in what type of energy they're siphoning from us.
Gonna have to be really honest. What comes to mind when I think of the opposition is there's been certain videos, I don't know if it's on TikTok or Instagram, but where the elders are letting them know, like, you know, their grandchildren that they married men when they were like 14 and the men were like 23 or 30. And I feel like that's what Pluto and because that's the boomers energy, that age group, Pluto and Leo, or especially the early parts. They're letting their grandchildren know that it wasn't sweet. It was a lot of arranged marriages. It was a lot of, you know, Aquarius is an energy that can bring a lot of age gaps in love to begin with. So a lot of massive age gaps. And I think that's what the Pluto and Leo generation is going to really work on, is letting their grandchildren know the real deal. They're the ones that are like doing these like TikTok stories and letting their kids know, like just their grandchildren know what they experienced during their time. Pluto and Leo is not going, personally, the boomers are not going to really be there for the Pluto and Virgo, Pluto and Scorpio. They're here for that energy that's built in Pluto and Aquarius. They're going to be more prominent for their grandchildren, great grandchildren. So that's what I see with that energy there with Pluto and Leo. Just being more honest, because Leo can put on just with that generation. We did what was best. We did what looked best. We did what our forefathers did. It was big on just keeping the family name going. So a lot of them went through those divorce periods in the 80s, in the 70s. It was that generation that was going on there. The ones that had the platonic type of push, Mars push in the 80s, trying to get those. So that would be the age where they would be, in their 30s, 40s, and in the 70s, early 80s. So it was them. Now in Aquarius, they're letting you know, hey, it wasn't always pretty. They're the ones telling their kids, don't marry their grandchildren. Go to school. Don't even do anything. Run wild. Don't do it. It's that generation that's telling grandchildren that.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of Pluto and Scorpio, especially the older ones of us, are really holding our parents accountable. Like, you're the reason we're like this. We learned this shit from you. Where do you think I came up with this? You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that's also really powerful because the Pluto and Scorpio generations got Chiron in Gemini, and then Chiron in Cancer, and Chiron in Leo. And so I really think that we are holding them accountable for the places in which we need healing. And we're a lot of us also, I think, are trying to get them to heal with us. Like, I know a lot, myself included, and some of my friends are trying to encourage our parents to also seek the medicine, to take the medicine, to make the changes, to like help us all break these generational patterns. You know, I don't even want to say curses, it's just patterns, because it's just like weird behavior that just keeps getting passed down. And it's like, at some point someone has to be like, you know, enough is enough. Like, this is not sustainable, and everyone in this family is miserable.
Yep. And that's our generation. That's our generation. I feel like people always hate on Pluto and Scorpio generation, but it's like our literal purpose was to unearth all of the literal bullshit and bring it to the hitting us, like, we're just doing our jobs. Glitching. I feel like I saw myself glitch. Am I good?
You did glitch for a second, but you're good now.
Okay. Yeah, but ultimately, I feel like if you are Pluto and Scorpio and you are working on your trauma, you're breaking curses or patterns, as we're saying, and you're digging up the bullshit and stopping it, I feel like we're in our purpose. Something that I like to do sometimes, I like to go a little bit further in the future to see how a pattern could possibly be. So I know a lot of Pluto and Scorpio generation, they would have had Pluto and Capricorn kids and like Pluto and Aquarius kids, if we're going with everyone having kids around between like 20 and 40. What do you guys think that would mean, like, for this generation, like for us? So I'm like, if we're like, okay, Pluto and Pluto and Virgo created us. Now we're creating Pluto and Capricorn and Pluto and Aquarius a little bit. How do you guys see that kind of like intertwining in the future, if we can go so far?
Generations?
I'm sorry?
Like with the generations, they created like one generation. Oh, so just with that, like
what do you see them breaking for us? Like, I don't know, because I feel like whenever we go, like, no matter how good we do, our kids and our grandkids will look at us like, what the fuck were they on? Like, you know what I mean? The same way we look back, I feel like we're going to do great. We're going to break a lot of stuff, but somehow, some way, they're going to still look at us in one way or another and be like, okay, there's just this aspect that they were like fucked up on. Is there anything that comes to mind?
One thing with the first generation, because it's going to need like a square. The square is important. So even with where I see the Pluto, so you said Pluto and Virgo created Pluto and Scorpio, true. But a lot of us have grown up with our grandparents as well. So a lot of us can have had grandparents being a parent just as much as a parent was there. Remember that Pluto and Virgo, Pluto and Libra, they were going through some sort of like, they saw integration, laws change, a lot of this cultural change. So a lot of us are raised by that Pluto and Leo generation, the Pluto and Scorpio, even if it means we were at grandma's house every weekend or grandpa's house every weekend. So that base is there. So that's how I see that. But when I connected, Pluto in Libra is part of the Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto in Virgo is a good part of Pluto in Sagittarius, of creating them. Pluto in Scorpio has a good chance of creating with Pluto in Aquarius, like that energy. But also I look at it as Pluto and Scorpio can be the generation where they're like, do we want to have kids? Because they even talk about this, like it's even a generation about the sacral chakra. Just to even open this even further, the 80s is a huge time for same-sex marriages, like that culture of like sexuality, sexual horizons. Like when people speak of the 80s, they're like, yo, what a time like to be like with that platonic energy. So when I see even with Pluto and Scorpio, and it comes to Pluto and Aquarius, do we even want children? Do we want certain things? Have we realized that there is so much trauma that we don't even want to bring any more energy here? Like we just want to take our time.
I do see that. I do see a lot of people saying like, I'm breaking it ends with me because I'm not having any more kids. So I definitely see that a lot. I'm just looking at how possibly the generations can build on each other. Like Virgo was this, Leo, we had the, not Leo, Libra, we had the divorces, Scorpio, we're unearthing all of the bullshit. What is Pluto and Sagittarius doing? Y'all tell me. And then Pluto and Capricorn. I'm trying to see like, what's the bigger story? Go ahead.
Well, with Pluto and Scorpio, you have to think about Saturn too. And Saturn, for Pluto and Scorpio generation, you could have Saturn anywhere between Scorpio all the way down to Aquarius. And no, actually, you could still even have Saturn in Pisces with some Pluto and Scorpio generation, right? And I think that the Pluto and Scorpio generation, if we have kids that are going to have Pluto and Aquarius, like I feel like those parents hopefully have done some healing work and they're going to help teach their kids how to be emotionally regulated. So they're not even going to have to play catch up with all this work, and they can really focus on like burning this bitch down and starting from scratch. Like they're really here to bring us to the future and to really dismantle all of the Capricorn type things, all of the old ways of doing things, how we have structured things in the past, how things have sort of, how the people in power have not really supported what the people want. And I feel like they're going to have like the courage and the bravery and like the balls to really do the dismantling part.
Are you saying that's Pluto and Capricorn?
Pluto Capricorn, Pluto Aquarius, yeah.
A lot of people in the chat are agreeing, even on Instagram as well. My Pluto and Scorpio created 4 Pluto and Cap babies. Yeah, and we sextile too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And Aquarius is like that bridge. You were speaking about Sagittarius earlier. So when I think of mutable energy, I think of migration. So the late 60s, early 70s, that was a big time for huge migration, like huge like communities migrating different parts of the world. Like even in this early 70s, a huge migration with the Asian communities coming to the States around the early 70s. So that time as well. So, and when Pluto came into Sagittarius, so around the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, that was another part of foreign travel, the borders, immigration. So that's a theme that I see that connects with it as well. Education as well, because they're coming into, and just with mutable energy, we're just getting used to seeing different people, different routines. Late 60s, early 70s was huge in integration. Late 90s, early 2000s was huge in integration of different cultures. It just became bigger in Pluto and Sagittarius. But in Pluto and Virgo, it was more about equality, standard, color, skin, Virgo. So that's why I see how those energies connect as well. Because even with now, with having a mutable transit, it's a huge transit for migration as well right now, starting since 2021. Jupiter coming into Pisces. So I see that.
I was gonna say what's interesting with the migration now is that we've got Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn in Pisces wants to bring like rules, restrictions, regulations. And what's interesting is that it's not like the government or like the governing bodies enforcing rules. It's we, the people, being like, wait, we need some rules here. We need some boundaries. We need some regulations and some kind of restrictions, because they're getting things that we didn't get or that we don't normally get.
I'm just reading a little bit the chat. Yes, I agreed. My family came into the country into the 70s. Same for, I think, like my grandparents. They migrated around that time as well. Very interesting. As someone said, Pluto and Capricorn, the Pluto and Capricorn kids are like already such like little bosses and so independent. And I feel like it's so true. Like everyone who was saying like their pandemic baby is already just like schooling them. And I see so much TikTok sometimes, and for real, these kids are so wise. I feel like kids are always wise. It's just that our generation are actually letting them speak and express, and we listen to them. But I feel like naturally kids are very wise. So I'm glad that we're seeing this shift.
And also with them having Pluto and Capricorn, you know, Pluto has like a lot of attachment or correlation to the soul. And it's like all those old souls coming through that Capricorn portal. And so they're already like people who've been here, you know, souls that have been here many times. And if they have come, you know, earthside with parents who are letting them express themselves and be experimental, then there's no shame programming that's going to be blocking all those gifts and blocking all those past timeline knowledge and all of that kind of a thing. And so they're just, I feel like they're going to excel at such a quicker rate.
I agree. We definitely started the soft parenting era. I don't like to call it soft parenting because it gives it such a weird connotation. It's just like conscious parenting, because I feel like people say like, oh, soft parenting or like gentle parenting, and it's like sometimes there's nothing gentle about parenting, but it's conscious. It's conscious parenting. You got to be there. You got to be within yourself. You got to regulate yourself. So that's true. That's true. Let's move into I know we talked a little bit about the South. Yeah, we talked about the South Node experience and this just having a huge Venusian year with a couple planets in Taurus and South Node in Libra. Anything else that we want to say about relationships with the South Node in Libra this year? I know also this summer we're having a small retrograde in Leo again too. It just seems like a lot is going on with relationships. Any hope for the people when we can breathe? Seriously, because for real, like sometimes I have that myself.
Hope for the people for breathing. I would say if you want hope, do the work, do the healing work, be the partner that you really wish to align yourself with. I really am an advocate for that. And that is the medicine that I take myself. You know, I think that it's really time for us, Chiron and Gemini, Chiron and Cancer, Chiron and Leo. It's really time for us to find our voice, heal our parental wounds, and really do a deep dive into what it is that we truly desire in relationships and to really start becoming that person. I think that, with the North Node conjunct Chiron right now, it's a great time for hopefully divine masculine energy to seek healing and to actually participate in healing so that they can transform their own narrative of toxic masculinity that's been indoctrinated for generations. I feel like men have the hardest reprogramming to do. I really do, because they have been taught from such an early age to mask and to, as the sirens go by, to mask and to separate from their emotions. You know, like boys don't cry. Be a big boy. Boys don't cry, kind of a thing. And it's just like everybody cries, everybody has feelings, you know, and I think that if we can, I don't want to say like hold men accountable, but I just feel like if everyone can be more like accountable for themselves and healing themselves and really focusing on themselves with this North Node in Aries with Chiron, like heal your own ego, heal your relationship with masculine energy, heal yourself in a way where you don't feel like you want to minimize yourself, so that you aren't afraid to take up space, so you aren't afraid to advocate for yourself, so that you are also initiating new ways of doing things in your family, or even just for yourself in general. If you're not, you know, North Node in Aries, so like initiating new ways of, you know, being an individual and not feeling like being by yourself is punishment.
Me?
Just with having the North Node in Aries, it connects to the Draconic chart, which is like a soul chart. And this is a placement about finding the self, the I am. So even back to those solo trips. But it doesn't mean you can't be in a relationship. It doesn't mean you can't be in partnerships. I'm just me, you are you. And that's just important with this transit and centering I am. I'm big on also you are a mirror. In sessions, I like to always tell clients, you summoned this person. This person summoned you. So what does your energy embody? What do your placements embody? Would connect to what this person is seeking, and what does this person has within their placements, in positive and negative ways, based on what you would be seeking. Like example, I meet Charisse, mutable energy. I was seeking something mutable. I meet Lotus, I fixed energy. I was coming into basis of fixed energy. I needed something fixed. Also with what we're doing, all basis of Venus, fixed resources. So you are a mirror of anyone who comes in contact with you. Once you start to do that, you'll learn to figure out what energy is, what it is, what energy is, what it's here to do. It's just really important to center self. And this is what astrology is about, figuring out me, what I come with, my tools, and who's now going to help support that. Another thing too, with mutable energy, just want to center, we're in a place where peace and a higher level of emotional intelligence, or let's perceive like we have this emotional intelligence. That's why we don't have no more love songs about, you know, running down the street and I'm calling you 9 times, right? We don't have none of that right now. We have everyone is too evolved and too.
I mean, Caesar's still on her bullshit. She said, I might kill my ex.
And that's why she got a Grammy and she got all this stuff going on, because people need that. People need that mutable or that heavy platonic. So that's another thing too. With this transit, keeping it real, working, maybe figure out where we could center more of, and this is to the cardinals, Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, God in your life. What is the mantra that we can live by, the philosophy that we can live by, even though we're different, to keep autonomy, to keep respect with each other. I think that's a big theme with this Aries North Node and Libra South Node. We are now disrespecting each other within the gender. No one respects anybody. So where can we at least respect again for one another? And then the rest will fall through. So I think that's a big transit for cardinals, especially Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. They've been thinking about what is God. And just even this transit is big on, you know, what is God? What is belief? What is philosophy? And I think that's a big thing with this transit. People need to figure out or ask questions or ask their partners, do we even believe in the same things? Like that could be a big conversation. That could even ask you if you should even be with this person. Especially since astrology is taking a rise. And when I do sessions, a lot of women can be like, oh, he's not into this. And that was a big thing for me when I walked into my cardinal progression. I was like, to my boyfriend, I was like, yo, bro, you need to know your big 3. Because if they do an interview right now and your ass doesn't know your big 3, I'm going to look crazy. So you need to be at least interested into this shit. You need to know something, bro. I like game him. I'd be like, what's your big three? What's your big three? What's your big three? So it's very important right now. I truly believe for you to ask your partner, do we even believe in the same things? Like, what do you believe in?
Yeah, that's been a big thing coming up for me in meeting men. You know, it's just like I have decided that I'm no longer going to try and conform to whatever space they are allotting me, right? Like this is me. This is me now, you know, to Coach J-Lo, right? And like, this is how I talk and this is how I operate and this is my belief system. And like, what do you believe in? Because if you don't believe in anything, like, I don't think I could fuck with you. I really don't. And if you're going to look at me crazy because like the voodoo lady is talking about X, Y, Z, and now she want to talk about my moon, and they're like, baby, like, this is a blueprint for so many things. And I think that at this point, if you are still a non-believer, you're with the machine. You know what I mean? Because like the architects of this are using this, you know, they're using astrology. Like this is how you decode things. And also I grill them. I'm like, okay, so what is your relationship like with your mother? How do you feel? How do you feel your feelings? How do you operate in, you know what I mean? Like you have to ask them things like, have you ever been to therapy? And let me see that birth date.
And
I feel like you guys just
speaker on.
No, repeat what you just said. Repeat what you just said. We didn't hear Umi.
No, I was just going back to the Miss Risa Tisa. Yo, put the speaker on. I need to hear them on the other line. Facts.
Yeah. Like put that shit on speakerphone. No, like now, like literally, I'm not afraid to have those first few dates or conversations to feel like a job interview. Because motherfucker, this is an interview. You know, like, do you believe in God? Do you have faith? Are you in touch with your soul? Like, where's your head at? Where's your heart at? When people talk about you, what types of things would they say about you?
Lotus is applying pressure.
For real. Like the women in your life, who are the women in your life that you love and what do you love about them? And if all you love about them is the things that they do for you, like, red flag, you know, like life's too short to keep playing games for several years to wait and pick Misha. It's life's too fucking short.
Yep. Someone said, "Are you Joe Alley? Are you dead inside?" Well, that's a good question. I love this comment. I met someone who liked the same music as me, and I was like, "Wow, I settled a bit in my past relationships."
Baby, I have settled in I don't even know how many relationships, and it's really sad because like that's another thing that's like a disconnect between divine masculine and divine feminine is that divine feminine, we tend to morph into what we think the masculine wants instead of just being what we want and aligning with something that is actually in alignment with us, something that wants that too, something that wants you exactly as you are, instead of being like, well, I'm gonna put on this character because I'm gonna get picked. And it's just like that is such an antiquated way of thinking, and I really want everyone to liberate themselves from that. I really want people to feel like they can be their true self and not feel ashamed about that, and not feel like, oh my God, if this person knows this darkness about me, they'll leave. Like, baby, your darkness and your shadow is where your magic and your power lives. And if you don't see that, then you've already lost the battle.
Keep going, Lotus. I'm just writing something.
Okay.
Go ahead, girl.
All right. So like something I was speaking about on a live the other day too is like breadcrumbing. And I think like that's also something that divine feminine have accepted for far too long. And the example I gave from my own personal life is my relationship with my father. This is something I have really been doing a deep dive on as I have been working really hard to heal my inner child, to be more emotionally available on the level that I wish to align with a partner on. And really trying to break free of why do I date fucking unavailable assholes that literally have nothing to offer but his body. Like majority of these dudes been broke too. Like how, what? And it's crazy because like my dad is that old school provider style man, you know, like my dad speaks several languages, has several master's degrees, is very successful, all of these things. And then I want to date like a hood rat. It's just like, that is just like, what are you doing, girl? And so like, it's just like, my dad was active duty when he was little, or when I was little, I mean. So he'd be home for 6 months, gone for 6 months. And so there was like all these like gaps where I don't know how my parents worked it out, but they were married and they were adults and they spoke about it. But for me, as the child, it's like when daddy's home, it was like the greatest shit ever. And it was such like a dopamine flood in the brain where it's just like, that's how I got programmed to just like settle for crumbs. I feel like it started that young where it's just like, oh my God, like you're here, you picked me, you're home, you're available, like yes. And then like when they're gone, like I didn't really care a lot of the times because it's just like I just feel like I was so used to that. But then like I started to see like that's not what I want, and that's not really how I want to operate. And so I really had to like, I don't know, I started like going within and reprogramming that and started dismantling where this came from and why is this something that I'm settling for.
I love that because I know we're gonna talk about our masterclass towards the end. No worries. I know you guys are seeing the ticker, but I know that's a big point with when we're coming with the masterclass. Like we talked a lot about self-worth and how just like a lot of us just even have trouble just really receiving the good things and really believing that good things can come to us and that we can attract good things, and we have problems attracting as well. And something Umi said earlier too about just being like a mirror. I'm really happy, Lotus, that you arrived at this point where you're like, why am I even like allowing this? Why am I attracting this? Why am I allowing? Because I feel like we can attract whoever, but then it's who we allow that really determines where we're at with our self-worth, with our self-love. And earlier we were talking about just the placements and the transits and the Aquarius energy and all of that. And I feel like one of the big things that we are going to get back to, or we have been getting back to, is self-love. And self-love being this basis of like healthy relationships. Because I feel like with the older generations, there was not a lot of self-love. There was a lot of self-sacrificing. There was a lot of like all that self-sacrificing, or like at least he's here, or at least he's paying the bills, or whatever it is. And we really need to tap back into our self-love as being the basis for a healthy relationship, because you are only going to accept what you really think you deserve and what you think you're worth. And I'm happy to see so many souls just healing and realizing that they deserve better, especially when we never had examples. It's super hard to be like, I deserve better, but I don't know what it looks like, but I know I deserve it. So it's a lot, and I'm still happy that a lot of us are doing this work. And just everything you're saying, Lotus, and just you were talking and like the chat was just popping off, and just commending you for the work you're doing as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I also just want to say, the relationship I desire, I don't really have like a real life example of someone who's like, relationship goals, hashtag, like I never say that. There's no celebrity couple that I'm like, I wish I had that. Like what I want, I haven't really seen anywhere. And so I guess that means it's going to be like that much more work, that much more effort and whatnot. But I feel like it's worth it. And like Umi said earlier, I also believe in that mirror thing. So it's just like, why am I so emotionally unavailable when I really feel like I'm an open book and that I am available? But there was a lot of reprogramming that had to go.
I want to center even like transits as well. We're in Saturn and Pisces, about to walk to Saturn and Aries. So 30 years ago, when they have their Saturn return, we're looking at the late 90s. mid to late 90s. So around that time, it was like AIM, AOL, like chat rooms, just spaces where there was more choice in trying to find partners, friendships, where you had to have like a little profile, say your age, where you're from, your hobbies, your interests. And even during the pandemic, when Saturn, with that Saturn energy moving into Aquarius, because even around 98, Neptune moved into Aquarius. So it opened up more of it. Remember, Pluto's in Sagittarius as well. So just this diversity, integration, being able to connect and communicate through different through the different countries, through different lands. So just the overall energy of ninth house, right? So when we moved into Jupiter being in Pisces, and also that Saturn in Aquarius in 2020, 2021, that was another time for online dating. A lot of people found their partners through online dating around that 2020, 2021, 2022. So that's another thing too with how relationships are coming about. It's even forcing the masculine to be more open, because if they're trying to do some online dating, they're gonna have to fill out that bio with some sort of depth, and it's allowing choice. Because even though that time the Pluto in Leo, Pluto in Virgo was more marriages, it was still very arranged. I remember growing up being in the club where guys could just push up on you. Like you would just be forced to dance with a guy. Like he came up on you, you're his for the night. I grew up in the era where if a man bought you a drink, he's your man for the night. Like he could hurt you. Like you better play your position. Women even pushed you to play your position. So we even come from a generation of a lot of sex shaming too, where you are fast. Why are you acting that way? Close your legs. So that base is there. So as we move more into especially Pluto and Scorpio, but definitely this Pluto and Aquarius energy, the back to the Pluto, like we were speaking before, the grandparents telling their grandchildren, like almost statutory rape, a lot of their relationships were in. Just these conversations of where we can have more choice. It's going to force the masculine to talk about more of their depth. We're in a place now where it's all about podcasts. It's all about men just start coming into spaces where they have to center that. Like Benzino is such a right now a sacrificial lamb. Cancer sun, Pisces moon, the transits was on him, baby. And the way he cried in that way as a legend was important for the masculine to see. I know some dudes that were like, they couldn't even watch it. Even with Kat, the way the meltdown men are having right now.
Yeah, also Boys to Men. One of the dudes, they were singing Mama, and he couldn't even sing. He literally threw the mic down and collapsed into his bandmate's arms and was like crying. His mom recently passed away, and it's like I think men are finally realizing like we have to be able to create a safe space where we can be emotional around each other and not be like, oh, like you're less of a man. Like that's crazy, especially because like Pluto and Virgo, that generation of men has so many like heart problems and digestive problems and prostate problems because they just been eating and storing those emotions in the body.
I'm just pulling up a couple of comments here. Self-love versus self-sacrifice. Lotus is so insightful. Love you. Love everything you're talking about, Lotus. When they don't got no job and no responsibilities, girl. I didn't know what I was reading.
Rent is due, boo.
Oh my god! I thought that I didn't read it before I pull it up, and now I'm reading it. I'm like, whoa.
That's true. That's so true. Like when they ain't got nothing else to offer, they're gonna be excellent at that. And it's just like, for me, something I always say, it's like I got a drawer full of dicks. Like, what else you got? What else you got?
But I think the conversation that we're opening up here about the masculine and healing, and I feel like so definitely agree, but then I could see why it could also be confusing for them with all like every time I pull up TikTok, there is another. I personally feel like it's propaganda, but there's just like women only want this, women only want this. If you actually, women tell you they want you to be vulnerable, but if you cry in front of them, look at how they'll treat you. They'll treat you like, so there is also this rhetoric right now that is being pushed to men that like, don't believe any of this healing bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? We need to protect the masculinity. Like, there is also this like very much being pushed. So I feel like I could understand like them being a little bit confused, because it's like, it's a lot. It's like, do I do the vulnerable thing and heal, or do I follow these dudes, these Tates, all these dudes who are saying like, I get a bunch of bitches and I don't do all these things, and women need a leader and they want you to lead them and they want you to this and no, and it's like, I feel like kind of bad for the boys right now, because it must just be a hell of a time to navigate all of that. And then if we don't have the elders to really help, it's a lot.
I believe what Pluto and Aquarius and Saturn and Aquarius energy is here to open up. Once men allow women to sexually live their lives without them meddling in a woman's sexual business, the world will be free. The world will be fine. Men have this fascination with policing women's sexuality because they are afraid of their own sexuality. That's why during this transit, poly and the bisexual man and just that overall trend, like just this whole conversation of sexuality was huge during this transit. And it called forth a lot of men to speak on their own understandings of this. We even saw during this transit men who were so opposed for it, to the point where it's like, whoa, Diddy's a sacrificial lamb to this conversation, because everyone's in raffles around his sexuality. And that's another thing too, when you were speaking before, Lotus, as a fixed woman like you, and I'm a triple fixed, and I know you're a double fixed, right? So double fixed. A lot of our testimonies is our sexualities. It's even our parents' sexualities we take on as well with these placements. Just being a fixed woman, you will come into relationships with men where you even have to ask them these questions. Like, what's up over there? How do you feel about that?
Well,
like,
I've literally asked men these questions, especially after I have read their charts. I've literally been like, have you ever been with a man? Like, is that something you desire? And literally like 2 of them, I think, were low-key bisexual. And I was just like, I don't know. For me, not that I'm against men being bisexual, but I personally, I just don't think I could do it, because as a woman who's been cheated on many times, like, there feels something more comfortable with him cheating with a woman versus him cheating with a man, because like I'm never going to give you what a man can give you, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And also, I feel like that type of lifestyle, especially if he's not living that out loud, all that down low behavior jeopardizes me and my body and my health. Because like, if you're too ashamed to admit that that's what you like and how you live your life, what about that man? When have y'all been tested? Who's maintaining proper health and hygiene? You know, it's just like, I can't risk someone who is lying to themselves about what they want and then creeping. It's just, pick one or the other. Pick one or the other.
That whole thing has to just be dismantled. The whole concept of sexuality, what we think it is, what we hope it is, has to just end. Like, we can't, like, it can't be Aries and Libra. What women could do a little bit of this, but men can't do a little bit of that. It has to just really end, and the conversation just has to be clear. I like, so much like comes to my mind when I think of even how elites, that's one of the biggest thing to elites to come off like stands, come out of positions of power, is through sexual exploitation, sexual blackmail. So there's something with men, power, and sexuality that they need to figure out. As soon as they get to this level of power, it's like sex parties and just all this massive energy of it. So we have conversations about what it is. How do we want to come together with others? Because men have that, you know, they are the controllers of the world. The masculine energy, toxic masculinity is the controller. They first have to have that conversation there, and that's why they are all these laws around sexuality, what is to be, what's not to be, that kind of basis there. But if we're going to really find true love, because Aquarius season is Valentine's Day season is during Aquarius, right?
Aquarius,
If we're really going to talk about true love, it would have to be in an Aquarian way. And Aquariuses know this. They know that they have a fluid, or they have to learn a fluid way when it comes to love and partnerships. And I think that's the only way men and women will be equal, if we have a deeper conversation. Back to Adam and Eve, right? That's truly sexuality and what that is. That's a lot of
whole.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying just the whole sex party thing and everything you kind of brought up with that. I feel like it's just a representation of, okay, so how I see things is that whatever exists on the top exists in the bottom, just at a different level, right? So when people say like, oh, there's all these petal rings or whatever on top, some petals exist on the bottom too. It's just different levels, right? And I just like to think of, for me, it's like, of course there's sex parties on top. Of course there's that. Because in the bottom, men have a lot of trouble just even regulating their sexual desires, even just controlling their sexual desires. So for sure, like, you get the money, you get the power, you get now you don't even really need to control yourself that much. So I definitely see all of that manifesting. And that is another question with that we really do need to have, because growing up, we've always just heard, like, that's just how men are. Like, those are just men's needs. That is just what they need. They just need to have, bodily contact with you every day to know that you love them. If you don't do that, it's totally, and that's really fucked up, because it's like, we literally tell women, oh, well, you weren't sleeping with him, so of course it's normal he would cheat, or of course he went out to cheat. You weren't doing your duties. And to me, it's just like, where do we come where it's like, okay, it's not just about that. There's other needs that I just feel like there's an overemphasis on sexual needs when it comes to men in relationships, and they need to also start exploring ways. I hope we get to a space where they can start exploring other ways that they can feel loved and like appreciated. That does not have to do with coitus. Like, please, like, and I think like all of this like the healing and everything might open that up, because I just couldn't imagine just being such a slave to your body in that way.
Now I'm going to come in like a little bit of a devil's advocate, right? We Libra South Node, we have to let the constraints off. We are part of women, the feminine energy is part of the issue. There's things we need to let go of, certain ideals. There's things that we need to stop showcasing as the right way, or even just shaming each other based on Libra things. Oh, he doesn't buy this for you. He doesn't get this for you. He hasn't done this for you. Like, Aquarius energy is opening up where we need to be more real with one another, honest with one another. So that's another thing I feel as well. Because it could be very much where it's another woman that's telling you better, or another, who is he cheating with? Another woman who's like, yeah, come over here, let me cook for you, let me do what she's not doing. So we also have to come into this, and that's why it has to be a group conversation of where we want to stand with one another. And we're doing it, like we're having all these talks about what men should do or women and how it should co-enact, but we really need to talk about the sexual factor and how we want to build this conversation, like especially with Pluto being in Aquarius and it's aspecting the energy of the nodes, right? There needs to be a conversation where a lot of these men don't even want to have these kids. They never wanted to have these kids. And we need to be honest with the fact that these men told us from the gate, I don't want to have your children. I don't want to have none of it. And we've been policed, and we policed each other for generations to have men have children for men who did not want us and don't want our children. So we have to look part of the entire question and just like what has sex been, coupling been? Like, it's deep. We got to go back to the core.
And then like, you know, it's so hyper focused on like, well, you're not pleasing him, but then God forbid the woman is enjoying sex and she owns her sexuality and she is not afraid to advocate for what she likes and dislikes or what she desires. You know what I mean? Then you get slut shamed for that. And then that whole like, let me do what she's not doing for you, that is centering the men as being the prize. When isn't it supposed to be like the divine feminine that is like the prize, so to speak? Because weren't women sort of what men were trying to get? You know, like even in nature, the male animals are like more decorated and pretty because they're trying to win the female's attention. You know what I mean? And then on top of what Umi's saying, Lilith is going to enter she's going to enter Libra in like June, I want to say. So she's going to be co-present with the South Node. And like, if you have not tapped in with your dark feminine energy, like prepare to go on a roller coaster, baby. I feel like that's going to be an era where women are really going to be owning their sexuality, advocating for themselves, really owning like their shadow and really feeling like that girl, like this is what I want and this is what I'm demanding.
And Lilith always wants to bring in that basis, your feminine power, your fight back. So Libra, and it's okay to be the villain. It's okay to just have to take that stance. Libras are in that right now. So Libras are in that stance where they're really have to look at the basis on, do I want to be a team player? Why do I want to be a team player? Why have I been a team player? So it just amplifies just the air signs, especially with Jupiter coming into Gemini. So even just more of those conversations, like what do we even talk about? Like that's a big thing for mutable energy. What do we do every day? So this is that basis that's going to come into these conversations as well, where people are going to realize that we're together because we got used to each other. So that basis, so those themes. So Lilith is going to open up those conversations. Definitely air signs. It's your summer, baby.
And we are very much shifting from, I feel, this age of illusion that we had around love. And we were talking earlier about like the whole Disney and this illusion that we have when it comes to love and how love is supposed to be and marriage is supposed to be and how you're supposed to meet someone and like it's perfect and it's happily ever after, and it's just like not the reality when it comes to love or relationships. And I feel like finally we were talking earlier how like, you know, Pluto and Leo could have like tried to save face on all of these generations, and I think finally we're just coming out and be like, okay, well, this is the real truth about relationships. Like sometimes shit's gonna be going good. Sometimes both of y'all will be on the same level. Sometimes both of y'all libidos will like sync up. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes y'all are gonna have a kid and things are gonna change. And I feel like, I don't know what it's like for you, but I feel like I never got that real reality of relationships, like talk or whatever. You know, I definitely heard the like, you know, don't trust them, whatever, but not this very more like conscious, like this is what real relationship, real love is about. Even when joining together, not joining together based off of very superficial things, but joining together with someone who really wants your best, who holds you accountable, who is there for you throughout whatever. I feel like that's not what we've seen. So there is this, I don't know if it's age of Pisces moving into age of Aquarius. I don't know if it's Saturn in Pisces. Y'all will tell me the transits, but I really feel like this whole like Disney like fairy tale that we've kind of spun to women is really, really over. And I think that's like why when we see women like Megan Thee Stallion and stuff like that, like Megan has more male haters and like women haters. right? And that to me, that's crazy. But it's really the men like underneath those comments saying super negative things about her. And I think it's because, you know, we've been sold this whole Disney and the princess vibe, and to see women just be like, fuck that, be in charge of their sexuality is so triggering. And I want to just touch on the point that you said, Umi, about the women need to be like the men need to leave women's sexual business. I think that's so interesting. Like, I just want to hear a little bit more about like why you think that will be the change.
You used a great example, Megan, Aquarius. That's a big center of the fact that she even said it. Like, if I fuck that nigga, he gonna come back for seconds. She's like, get out my pussy, get the hell out of my. So it's like that whole basis of she's the symbol of sexuality, and I'm a fixed woman. And I know for fixed women, that's the first thing I tell them in their sessions. Your sexuality will be policed. Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, not even just from men. It starts off with your parents letting you know what you need to do with your sexuality and just that overall basis, even their stories. So she's a symbolic of that. She's a, like, even Carisha, another Aquarius, like, what? Yeah. I'm going to, and it's masculine as well, but it's an energy that's going to trigger men. And that's what we, like, they're symbolic in those, any Aquarius, or they're going to open up conversations where I don't want to align with the social norms. I'm going to live ways that are outcast, that kind of basis there. So you used a perfect example. She's a very symbolic energy to that. For sexuality. And I just think men need to have this conversation. Women as well. We all need to have this conversation about what makes us feel good. What are our quirks? What are our kinks? Aquarius wanted to open that up. So during the pandemic, a lot of us were in like these groups, networks, these Facebook groups, just like list. Like, yes. Like even these couples even took a lot of fame. Like, who's coming to my mind is even Kevin Gates, Aquarius, right? And that whole poly, like that was a pivotal point for a lot of couples to transition into these type of relationships, because we need to talk about just where sexuality, it's even more than sexuality. I'm not finding the right word. It's not just sexuality. It's just the psyche, the laws, the pain, the trauma that has come based on how we've policed sexuality. We have to go back into like like so many things have gone through history that's policed sexuality that we need to unpack so people can be free. And we're just looking at the States, like third world countries. They're like, we're talking about not even centuries behind. So this is just that. And Megan is a symbolic energy for that. Aquarius, any Aquarius energy, even Epstein is a symbolic energy, Aquarius, of that, of the sexuality, exploitation, and just where it's now getting to a point where we now no longer can trust. It's now no longer, everyone's just, I'm trying to pinpoint the word. I know you guys get what I mean with the symbolic of Aquarius.
Well, also like historically, when the men in power start to feel like it's slipping through their hands, they automatically pivot and target women's reproductive systems. Literally, like almost always, it's like, well, women are easy to control, or we've historically always controlled them, and this or that, and I feel like it's part of that, you know, with versions and layers of the patriarchy sort of being like exfoliated away. It's like, okay, well, let's pivot back to women's bodies. And then back to the podcast too. It's just like, it's so crazy how men talk about being high value men, and that they want to have women that meet that. But like their definition is also really strange, because it's just like, okay, you want to be a high value traditional man, because I think that what they're also missing is like that old traditional Saturn way. And it's like they want to be that provider man and this or that, but then they get mad if women are after them for their money, or you know, it's just like, which one is it? You want us to submit and follow you, but you're broke and you're emotionally unavailable. So like, where are you taking me?
Whenever I see that conversation, what's super funny to me is that I love Regency movies and like Regency shows, so like Bridgerton and everything of that era, like Jane Eyre, anything like that. And what's so funny is that when we look at that time, men literally had to come to other men and be like, "Can I have your daughter's hand? Here is everything that I will bring." This and like the fathers would judge whether, and the fathers will tell their daughters like, they go with the men with the provisions for you, whatnot. Do not go with the stable boy behind because he's cute. Men told their daughters this. Other
And
men
they went with the biggest dowry. Who's got the biggest dowry?
Other men came to the fathers and be like, and then we're like so this trickles down, and now we're at like, women only want men who could provide. I'm like, well, I wonder where like some of this came from. Like literally just a couple generations ago, it was actually very much part of the culture and the societal standard. So I just find it funny when we have that conversation. I always like to remember that literally men were going to other men. Like this was the standard. They did not want their wives, their daughters, whatever, to be with men who didn't have money. And quote unquote, they ruled society. So I feel like now we want this for ourselves. It's not, you don't gotta come to my dad no more. You gotta just come to me. Now it's a problem, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about as we wrap up. Like this conversation has gone so quick. Everyone's just going crazy in the comments. Let us know if you guys have any questions in the comments about the upcoming transits right now, anything like that. But we touched on it a little bit earlier. I want to circle back on how increasing your own self-worth, working with your chart, working with your Venus, working with your healing. How has all of that helped you guys when it comes to like relationships, business, your worth in general? Because that's what our masterclass is kind of about. And I just want to talk about like your personal experiences with that, with like increasing your self-esteem or working with your self-worth, like knowing all of these things that we went through as women, and then women of color, and then now women in business, and all of that. Like, how has that been for y'all? You can go, Lotus, first.
Well, I don't know. Should I talk or no?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So sorry, my bad. So for me, it has helped me see red flags like way more easily, like very easily. And one of my most recent breakthroughs was speaking up instead of, holding my tongue. Like something came up in an event unfolded one night with someone who I was talking to, and the old me would have just ate that shit and just like not said anything. But that night I decided to break out of my old way. I decided to break free of this pattern where I see something that triggers me, that hurts my feelings, that is making me look at you very sus. And instead of just like eating my words and just like holding my tongue so that I can accommodate you, so that you can still continue to pick me, I told Spirit, I was just like, if you want me to say something, like give me an opener, like present the scenario where I can say it. And like literally like 30 seconds later, such scenario happened, and it was like word vomit. And it was so extremely liberating. Like I've never just like called a man out on his shit directly to his face and in real time. And even though my heart was racing and I was like, oh my God, like what's going to happen? And are we going to get into an argument, this or that? Like the way it unfolded was very unexpected and not what I thought. But it showed me what they're on, what I demand, and how like this is no longer in alignment with what I want. and also, you know, other private details that I don't need to divulge here, but it's just like, it showed me that like, you not him, you not that guy. And that's okay. But, you know, it's not okay for me to continue to be like, pick me and waste my own motherfucking time, Joe. Like, I can't sit here and hold my words for a year and then turn around and be like, what? Like, still have nothing. So it's just like, I'm already not getting fully what I want. So what would it hurt just to speak up for myself?
Why continue? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Umi. How has working with your chart, understanding your relationship placements, your Venus placements, all of that, your self-worth, how has that improved your day-to-day, your relationships, your business, and overall life?
So one of the things I like to talk about is that I hated being a Scorpio as a kid. Every time I would Google it and research it, I was like, why the hell am I this sign? It's always gloom and doom, and it's so highly sexual. And I didn't always feel that way. I felt like I was more imposed on with sexuality. Like people would like violate my space and like tell me things or open me up to things that were sexual. I'm a Scorpio stellium. And then when I started looking at my chart, I started realizing it was my parents' story with sexuality. Because I always tell myself, if I'm fluid sexually, that means one of my parents must be a little curious in that kind of way. And that has helped me a lot, especially in dating, when I meet people where I would have to do like a psychological thing, or they would just bring on this story about their own traumas with how they've afforded things and how they've expressed their sexuality. And so that's a big part of how I've found my self-worth, is through embracing my sexiness, through knowing that, you know, I turn myself most on than anyone else. Like that's very important for me. And
Pull up. We gotta
I'm like, yo, like
put that shit on for you, girl.
I turn myself on more than anyone else. Oh, that someone needs to quote that. But in the chat.
Yes, because if you're a Scorpio dominant or Pluto dominant,
I feel that for
your first experience with sexuality is shame.
Mm.
Like if you are a Scorpio dominant, your first understanding, or fixed Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, your first understanding of it is shame. And once I started to unpack that I don't have to be shamed in what I like and who I like, it was empowering for me. It's a topic I love to talk about when it comes to Pluto and just the reproductive health. That was important. Also, with being a fixed energy, my reproductive health is sensitive. So I've had to take care of myself down there more personally. And once I started doing that, where I'm just like, oh, I like the way I smell. I like the way I taste shit. Like, you know, I like that. I found more self-worth once I started to realize, oh, Scorpio is not what I think it is. Scorpio is this. And now I was like, oh, okay. I need to find my magnet, like what makes me magnetic. And that's just been very important. And also helping other people makes me feel really good inside. Like knowing that I can leverage energy any way I want makes me feel really good as well. So that's very important for me. Unpacking that, realizing my parents, why I was even a Scorpio to begin with, has been important. So when they try to shame me, I'm like, So that's been important as well. Understanding shame, unpacking my shame has been the most sexiest thing I've ever done, personally.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that. Like you just even opening about that. Once I saw like my Scorpio moon and my Scorpio stellium, it was one of the same things for me where I just felt like I was literally either just conceived in shame, born in shame, or just I've just been carrying this freaking energy for so long. And part of my healing was just really removing that and just being like, you know, there's not, and that's where we're talking about unpacking for women, because why would it be a problem to be sexy? Why would it be a problem to be beautiful? Why would it be a problem to leverage your talents or the shit that you have to get what you want, which is what everyone does. But then it's just a problem when we do it. So there was just so much that, and it's true, it's just a problem when we do it. And it's like, you know, I am from the Caribbean, so there is a lot there with like, sometimes we're hypersexual, but then as young girls, the same thing, you're too fast, don't do this. And there's just a lot of sexual shame. Like you don't even have your period yet, or from the moment you have your period, is just like the world changes, especially when you're in like small countries like that. Like the world freaking changes because now you can get pregnant. And it's just like the way we treat you is no bueno. It's just, it kills anything about, like, it kills our power as women. I feel like we come into this world just feeling like we're so dirty. We're so dirty. I have something about
it
us.
make us feel that way, yet everyone wants a piece. Like which one is it?
So
Which one is
confusing.
it?
So confusing. So good. And I think like that's how they've conditioned us to give ourselves away, but never get the benefit. Give ourselves away, self-sacrifice, do everything, yet we're always the last person being served. But yet everyone wants us. It does not make sense. If you're the valuable, or you're the thing that everyone's trying to get, how are you now the least served? How are you now the least happy? How are you now, like, it makes no sense. So thank you for sharing that with me. Go ahead.
Real shit. Cause I was still like, since I have like fire energy, because sometimes fire energy can make you like a daddy's girl, or air energy, or a guy's girl. So I've even had to come through my own life with working on my own pick-me-sha energy, right? Within that space. But what I also wanted to center just with this energy of that Aquarius energy you're talking about is just with the basis of where men need to center it as well, with back to the sexuality theme, right? When trans men, or men who are like, who change their sex, they even started saying it because they started to become the most endangered. So even then, with what you're saying, like with the basis of where we endure, it's real. Because even trans men, I'm not trans women, or men who like transition into women, they were the most getting killed. They were the most like having, like, being endangered in those species. And they were even saying it like the feminine energy is attacked. So it's like, it's real. And I open that up, and I center fire and air energy because we are still in a fire and air north node. So we still even have to work on, like I said before, where women are still attaching to the toxic masculinity. So that's why I center air and fire. But yes, feminine energy is endangered. It is true. Because even with go ahead. No, I'm listening. No, go ahead.
I hate doing conversations with you because we're always like this. Yeah, we're like, you go. What you just said brought up a point that we made earlier, where you're saying like, it's not just men, women too, because who slut shames a lot of, like, the first people who slut shamed me or made me feel wrong about my sexuality were women. It wasn't men. So there's also that too that we need to unpack, because a lot of women as well police other women's sexuality. So yeah, when you're like, I gotta work on my own pick-me-sha, like, I think we all kind of, I don't know, but I think we all kind of went through a period where it was like, I'm not like other girls, you know? And now I'm like the biggest girl. I'm like, I don't like other girls. But I went through that phase too, because it was just so important for us to kind of like, I'm not like other girls, I'm not like this, and the whole demonizing of everything feminine. And I feel like truly right now we're just reclaiming that. We're really reclaiming our feminine power and what that looks like. And we're no longer going to be told what it's supposed to look like, from people who don't even have the power. Like, it's us. How every spiritual text is not written from our perspective. Everything is just been so male dominated, and we don't even understand our full power. And now we are trying to communicate it, explain it, teach it to other women, and we're still being very much policed again. And it's like, it's our story, it's our power, let us talk about it.
Went out for
I was saying, I feel like this conversation has been so great. So really, people resonating in the chat. They're saying like it's been very healing, the conversation. And we're gonna keep talking, but I just wanted to let you guys know, if you guys are liking this type of conversation, really tap into the masterclass next week. It's really all about reclaiming our Venus, reclaiming our attractiveness, reclaiming our feminine power, reclaiming what we deserve, so we no longer have to be these mirrors to these if we can say that like that, but truly more about us. It's not even about what we're attracting, but how we can be better portals for the things that we deserve. And we're going to be looking at Venus. We're going to be looking at our seductive energy. We're going to be looking at ways that we like. It's just a sexy class. Like, it's just a sexy class. It's women only. I'm sorry, boys. It's women only. Dress code is sexy, lingerie, something nice, something still, whatever you guys want to come in that makes you feel good. It's just really a day to understand what you're worth, what you bring to the table, your power, and we're reclaiming our voices. So please, y'all, we're gonna keep like talking about the conversation, but I just really wanted to let y'all know, if y'all are enjoying this, tap into the masterclass. I've been dropping the link throughout the whole live. Tap into the masterclass. It's gonna be great. More of us in this space and in this space of healing is what we need for us to be the leaders of what we actually see our power at, and how we want to use it, and how we choose to manifest it, and stop letting people tell us how to do it. Go ahead, ladies, if anyone wants to say something. Y'all are like looking like hypnotized. Did I hypnotize y'all? What's up?
No, I'm just listening. But someone in the chat says something with the transit. What transit will we see this cornucopia effect? I'm not really sure. Who was talking about cornucopia?
I'm gonna be really transparent. I don't even know what that word means. Someone fill me in.
It's like everyone working together and things being sort of like harmonious.
Okay, kind of idealistic. Who wants to take this question?
I'm trying to understand the question. I don't know. It's really hard to figure out a time when we are going to have more prevalent, healthy relationships.
Oh, okay. Sorry, this is the prelude to the question. Maybe it'll give us a little more
Do
context.
I see this concluding, and what does that look like? Yeah, see, this is something that I think about I don't want to say often, but like a lot of times I do wonder, like, where is there an end in sight? Where is this great transition where people are like operating in a higher version of themselves and aligning with healthy partners and really honoring their needs and desires? So I don't know, because like I'm still trying to figure out when that's going to happen. Also, I think that we're still in a dismantling era, so I don't know if it's necessarily going to be in like the immediate future, but I think that if we as a collective choose to start seeking the medicine, taking the medicine, advocating for ourselves, even holding our partners accountable to the requirements that we have, I feel like then we can maybe speed up the timeline. But I really think that it's fragmented in so many ways and in so many layers that there's such a deep reprogramming. Like at this point, I really think it's part of the spell of the Matrix, and I don't care how freaking conspiracy theory that sounds. I feel like it is just one of those spells to keep us separated. If like the divine masculine and the divine feminine are not a unified thing, then it's much easier to control us in the separate ways that they control us.
Yeah, divide and conquer is gonna always be one of the
divide and conquer, exactly.
Yeah. Umi, someone brought up that they really appreciate you highlighting where women may be policing the masculine as well, and I think that was a really good point as well. Just wanted to read that to you.
very important to see where it's like an equal, where we just need to have a chord in session with that Libra energy, where it's a equality, what equality really means. So that's important with that too, especially since it's still an air and fire transit.
I wanted to ask you, ladies, I know we're going to talk about it in the masterclass, but can we spot like low self-esteem or low self-worth in a chart, by the way? Lotus, you can go first.
I think there's lots of things you can look for self-esteem. I would look at their Venus and aspects to their Venus. I would check out their 7th house, and then, or not their 7th house, their 2nd house, and then also their 5th house, because that 5th house is ego and confidence. And then even to build off that even more, their sun. So I feel like you can really look at those aspects in a chart and really see where there is blocks in confidence, or where they maybe struggle to I don't want to keep repeating confidence, but it's just like where they might struggle with loving themselves, accepting themselves, feeling important enough to enforce boundaries, things like that. I think you can definitely see those types of things in a chart. Another thing for women especially is like the moon. I think that the moon is also so close to women and so tied to women that if they are disconnected from their womb space, that there is likely a low confidence thing happening. A lot of times I'll question clients, be like, well, you know, do you even know like what your vagina looks like? build enough umi, like smells like, tastes like, feels like you have to be comfortable with your body. If you want people to experience your body, you can't be ashamed of experiencing it yourself. And it also tells you about your own like health too. Like if you, I'm not saying like you have to like, you know, like, but if you want them to go down on you and then you're like, don't touch me or whatever afterwards, it's like, well, what is that saying about your own hygiene and, you know, health? I don't know. I just think that's important.
And so sometimes it's not even your own hygiene. It's just, again, this of just being sexual and just being like, yeah, like I want this. It's like, no, don't go there. Like, we don't need to do that no more. We want it too. Like, you know, so it's like, it's always reinforcing these things in our brains. And I agree, like I have had to work through that as well, where I would just be like, no, or like this. And it's just like, men ask for what they want all the fucking time. They don't give a fuck. Like, they don't care if they took a shower. They'll be like, straight from the gym. Like, you know what I mean? And we're always the ones like, oh no. So yeah, it's like this conditioning. But I agree with you. I agree with us. It's just like it's with us, with ourselves as well. We need to allow ourselves to just love what we love, enjoy what we enjoy. And like when we was even talking about kinks and stuff, like yes. Let's put some kinks in the masterclass.
Yeah, and also bringing back femininity in from like a divine feminine definition, and not like what we think men want to see, you know, or what we think men want type of thing. It's like honoring the feminine form in a way that is actually feminine, you know, like goddess statues back in the day had a little belly, she had a big curve, she had big boobs, you know, like she's soft and squishy, you know what I mean, like she's fertile, like Venus is about fertility, and I just feel like women need to take back that definition instead of like, and this is no shade to like all the surgical bodies and things like that, but it's just like, I feel like that is just feeding what they want and not what we want.
Umi, what do you have to say about, can we spot low self-esteem in the chart? Any placements, any aspects, things that we can look for?
Venus in Virgo is in fall. So I look at even like just the entire modality. So I look at Venus even being in mutable is in fall. Venus being in Earth can have a struggle as well. And where there can be a struggle with just maintaining relationships, attaining the sense of fulfillment, a sense of security, feeling fulfilled can be a struggle, especially since Venus, since its first home in Taurus, an energy that's about security, stability. When it's in mutable energy, Virgo, or just immutable energy in general, it's now inconsistent, unstable, not always clear. And Venus doesn't like that. Venus is home in a fixed and in a cardinal sign, Libra. So those are placements where people can feel like they struggle in love and struggle with attaining things, struggle with that sense of fulfillment, that in life when they have it Venus in Virgo, or they're overcritical. There's a perfectionism. Their basis of love. And Venus in Virgo is also a placement where there can even be some sort of insecurities, where you always feel like there's something physically wrong with you, or you need to physically work on a standard. The beautiful thing about it, though, is that Venus in Virgo is a beauty placement. It's in a lot of beautiful people, beauty stars. And I think that's even the quote of where they say sometimes the most beautiful people do the most ugliest things, or the most beautiful people go through the most ugliest things. So that kind of basis there. Venus in Virgo is also beauty's in the eye of the beholder type of basis. Same thing with Venus being in Pisces. So those are placements as well. And even when Venus is exalted, that can be a struggle as well with Venus being in Pisces, because you can have a very blurred, rose-colored view on love, where it puts you into spaces where you're even delusional. Delulu. That's a word right now for this. That's very Delulu. So just that as well is important. But mutable.
I like how that person says the decenter men. I like that.
Facts. Decenter men, and that basis there, especially with that cardinal and air and fire. Air and fire women are always the liberators to begin with. Like, let's do this.
Someone said, what if your second and fifth house is empty for self-worth? What does that mean?
Nothing's really empty. So that there's a sign there. Break it down, get to the least common denominator. There's a sign there. So if there's always a sign in the house, find the sign. What's the ruler of the sign? When you find the ruler, what's in that? How is that ruler, the sign that the ruler's in, aspect the second house? Find a way to define it, since you want to focus on it. There's a message. The natal chart is like a Rubik's. You could twist the thing in so many different ways. There's that basis there. Now, once you twist it to the final, there's a core in finding it as you go deeper and deeper. But the chart can have many different patterns and viewpoints. So it's up to you how you how your viewpoint. And with your second house, when there's houses with no planets in it, it just shows that there's not really a strong focus there. But be conscious that you got to look at the polar opposite, the opposite house, and see that there's no planets in. Like, if you're looking at your second house and your fifth house, look at your 11th house and your 8th house to see that there's no planets there as well, to show you that you still need to aspect this second and fifth house. But even if there's no planets in a house, look for the sign, look for the planet that rules that sign, and let's define more of this house.
Yeah, and that's something that we are going to go over much more in detail in the masterclass, like really how to decode things, how to work it, how to unpack it, reprogram it, flip it, turn it, and reverse it, baby. We're going to go through all of that in very, very detailed.
As we're ending up, tell the people what the masterclass means to you. What is I kind of said mine a little bit earlier, but the purpose of the masterclass and what it means to you. And then I will give you guys all the small, little details that we need to know. You can go, Lotus. You can start since you were talking last.
All right. The class, I think, is, for me, something that should feel very liberating and empowering, and that's what I really want to add to it, and that's what I'm trying to help people see. I feel like a lot of times, especially women, we're very hypercritical of ourselves, and when you toss in your birth chart, I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I got a terrible chart, and automatically I just you got to dismantle that. And so everyone has something that's beautiful and powerful and seductive and magnetic about them. And everyone has something that somebody else wants, So I feel like that's that's our gift to this class. You know, like there is not a bad Venus. There is not, you know, a Venus that is going to be like you're single forever, or you're ugly, or you can never be confident, or you can't be like Lilith or a sex kitten, or whatever it is you desire from that Venus. I feel like this class is going to be such a like super rich like fountain of information. Like this is going to be something that you're going to be able to come back time and time again and use to get what you want, no matter what it is, really.
You, Umi, what does this class mean to you? What do you hope to bring to this class? And what's like the purpose of the class for you?
I'm really connected to Venus. I'm a Taurus moon. I'm a Taurus midheaven. I'm a Venus in Libra. So I really love the themes of Venus. I just want to share that with others. You can create the life you want if you're intentional. And it's been very important for me as a Venus dominant to have flowers for myself every once of the week, or to go into spaces where I balance out my feminine energy. I engage in my feminine energy. And that's what I want to share with everyone with this class. Like, you have a way, you have your own code to how you can engage to your sauce, to your riz, right? And everyone, like especially with feminine energy, there's especially like example while you were talking, Lotus, I was thinking about different types of Venus, like finding your riz. There might be someone who has a Venus in Gemini, or someone with a Venus in maybe a fire sign, where they might have more of that physical push. But a Venus in Gemini could write you a mean love letter, man, a mean poem. Like maybe that's your thing. You're a mental lover, or you're a acts of service lover, or you're an energy that's more of a physical lover, where you need that touch. Because that's going to be another thing too. There might be some women that feel like their sex drive is higher than a man's sex drive sometimes, where they need more and more. So it's specific to you, your story. And that's when I want to help women engage in. I love women. So I love whenever I find a woman who finds her groove, her stilo, I'm like, you go, girl. Like I love
empowering women too. I love helping them feel connected to their bodies, especially, and really tapping back in with that power. Like, I'm also Venus dominant. I'm Libra rising, Taurus sun, but I have Venus in Gemini. But like, I want women to be connected to that part of themselves and to really own it, because literally, like, that's how you get everything. Venus's superpower is attraction, you know? So I just want women to feel like beautiful and powerful.
Y'all hear what the purpose we're bringing to the masterclass. I'm going out. I'm here. So y'all heard what we're bringing to the masterclass, the purpose behind it, the vibes as well. Y'all heard that as well. And just based off our conversation today, you guys can see that we're all really just passionate about this. And that's why we came together and even created this masterclass. When we did our last live that we did was like about Mars women and everything like that, we even had people who just said like, listen, your last live just made me feel more confident, made me feel just better in myself. And we just really wanted to take that and put it into a little package and give it to you guys. So it is a night to remember. It is a night to not be missed for sure. It's on the leap day, okay? It's on the 29th of February. So this isn't a once in a 4-year thing. Okay, it's not gonna happen next year or the year after. So it's on leap day. We chose the day specifically. We looked at the astrology, everything like that. It's vibes, okay? We want y'all coming out looking sexy, feeling good, put some perfume on, have the candles in the back, have the wine. Like, we are just going to be tapping into Venusian energy as much as possible, goddess energy as much as possible, and really embodying our freaking inner goddesses, learning how to attract, learning what makes us specifically attractive, so what we bring to the cosmic table, learning how to turn up our attractiveness and our seductive powers. And as well, if we may have a shaky relationship with Venus, if we have trouble receiving, if we have all of that, we're going to be delving into how even to heal our relationship with Venus, how to heal our relationship with the goddess, how to, like we talked earlier about, even the shame aspect and shaming ourselves based on the things we want. Like, we are here to also want and desire. We are vessels of that. And I'm tired of everyone desiring us and we not getting what we desire. So this is the masterclass for the ages, y'all. We are so happy to be able to create this for y'all, to bring this, to birth this, to manifest that with y'all. And we cannot wait to see you next freaking Thursday. I think it's at 8:30 p.m. But I put the link in the bio. You guys can definitely sign up. First 10 people in, y'all know how we love to give back. So first 10 people in, y'all gonna have something very special. So we have a giveaway. It's our first giveaway. It's the first time we're doing that. It's called a Get in Your Bag giveaway. So you're going to be getting specific things from all of us, but it's all going to help you get in your bag. So we're going to have products, Venusian products, candles. You're going to have a reading, a Get in Your Bag reading, all about your money transits, what's the upcoming year for you. You're going to get herbs to increase your attractiveness and your womb space. And you're also going to be getting a Find Your Money Making Niche session as well. So we are having this giveaway. It's very simple to enter. All you have to do is share our graphic on Instagram, tag your bestie. Don't worry, we're gonna be posting more on it, so don't worry. But the first 10 people in right now, y'all are going to get 3 times the chances to win this masterclass. So if y'all come in, I'm putting your name 3 times. So everybody who shares, they're just getting that 1 share. But if you come in right now, you're gonna get times 3. So come in and win the Get Your Bag giveaway. And as always, we just love to see you guys. If you guys love what we do, what we talk about, and just love our vibes, we love y'all too. And we're excited to see y'all and do this. It's our first time together and we're planning something juicy. So come out, y'all. Come out. Leap day next Thursday.
It's not stuff you're going to just learn from Google or from a freaking website or your Astro app. Like, this is like real lived experiences and like actual chart readings with real people. Like, this is the wealth of information and game and resources. Like, the value is ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
So definitely come out, y'all. Link, like I said, again, is in the chat. We cannot wait to see you. And for the giveaway, y'all will see more information for that on Instagram. But like I said, you can just literally, without even sharing, you can enter the giveaway right now by just being the first 10 people to sign up. So thank you guys so much for freaking coming out. I think we did like over 2 hours and I literally didn't even see the time pass. This conversation went everywhere where it was supposed to go. It hit every single point. It was just literally straight channeling at a certain point because it's just what the collective needed, for real. So thank you to you, Lotus Elise. Thank you for you, Umi Genevieve. Thank y'all for coming on here, bringing your wisdom, bringing your vibes, bringing the energy. Thank y'all for even donating to the giveaway. Like, thank you for the work y'all are doing in the community. Like, we are leaders in this time, feminine leaders, embodying our feminine power, embodying our sexiness, embodying the spirituality and all of the feminine arts, and like doing it and looking good doing it. Like, wow, what a fucking time to be alive, man. What a fucking time to be alive. So thank y'all so much for joining. Thank y'all everyone for joining the Success with the Stars series, brought to you by the Growth Project podcast. And we will see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. See you guys next week.
All right, bye. See you in class.
See y'all in class.